Hello everyone and welcome to Snap Take. Happy new season, and this is video 1 of 2 of the day going over brand new cards coming to Marvel Snap. We're going to kick it off with the Season Pass card, Esme Cuckoo. The Season Pass card is basically always good value in Marvel Snap. It is fundamentally a savings of 6,000 tokens, which ends up being financially much more than the $9.99 they charge, and that's without even getting into all the other goodies, whether it be exclusive variants or extra gold that they give you. Esme Cuckoo, however, is not just good because she's a Season Pass card, she is an incredible card. A 3/4 on reveal, copy a card from your deck into your hand, set its cost to 3 and power to 4. She's going to have, 2/3 real uses here that are hugely important. Use 1 is fairly simple. Use 1 is fundamentally if your deck needs a consistency piece. If you're running Wicked, if you're running Mr. Negative, if you're running one of the cards that your deck really does want to see, if you're running a Victoria hand, the cards that your deck really does want to see to win, getting a 3/4 version of that card, or the chance of a 3/4 version of that card, is absolutely great. Outside of that, there's the power plays, right? There's the big power spike plays, where if you get a 3/4 Iron Man, a 3/4 Shang-Chi, anything along those lines, you've now got these late turn power spikes that the opponent cannot predict. That this card is made cheaper, not Esme herself, the card she generates is made cheaper by the Quinjet, is further making the Quinjet a really impressive card. And I do think Esme Cuckoo is going to be back to one of the incredible Season Pass cards, like Captain Carter after buff, like Sam Wilson overall, like Iron Patriots. I think it is that quality of card that I fully expect to see it everywhere. Today we are going to look at several Esme Cuckoo decks, 4 in fact, kicking it off with this Surfer Esme. This one feels fairly obvious. This is built off of the Zunes version of the list, where we're trying to say, we've got all these power spikes, let's make sure we see our key cards. Let's make sure we see Surfer. Let's make sure we see Galacta. Let's make sure we see Sarah. Those being the 3 cards that you most want to see to win. Plus the extra power. If you hit a Brood, you're perfectly happy. There's a lot of very good targets here. You can find me streaming this deck tonight at around 8:30 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer, and this is based on the Zune shell. Zunes was the #1 player of the April season, and one of the decks he used to climb was a Surfer that looks a lot like this. This deck needs Galacta and Luna. If you don't have Sam, you're looking for Gorgon, Iron Patriot. You can run sort of your best 2 in that spot. Even Kate Bishop makes sense, but unfortunately most of the best 2s are higher series cards. Esme, Shaw, and Carter can be Copycat, Negasonic, and an extra 2. I'm not 100% sold on Shaw here. I added Shaw literally because I like it as an extra target for Forge, but it's not actually important here. You can sort of pick your poison as far as what 3 you want. Sometimes that's like Gladiator, right? But I don't want to make a copy of a Gladiator that's 3/4. That's a terrible card. At least if I get an extra copy of Shaw, that has some value. That's my logic here. All right, let's go card by card. So Forge here has multiple really good targets. You are very likely to play Forge on 2 because you do have Sarah. However, if you end up being able to get Sarah out on 4, which the deck has 2 ways to do, then all of a sudden Forge makes sense once more on turn 5. Forge here is trying to hit Brood, Captain Carter, or Sebastian Shaw. Each of those amplifies the bonus. Forge on Captain Carter ends up making it a 4 power card, which means it's generating an extra 4 power, giving that a huge spike of making it a 6 power fundamentally buff. If you can fill the back rows, same thing for Brood. It's a 6 power card. It's only a 4 power buff on Shaw, but a 4 power buff is nothing to sneeze at. Sam Wilson is here for 2 reasons. I guess 3 reasons. One, he's just really, really good, right? But part of what makes him really, really good is he is a lot of power. Sam Wilson being fundamentally a 2/7, if you play him on turn 2 or turn 3, means that he is going to be a reasonably big card for the deck, no matter what happens, as long as you play him early. The other thing he does is he really does help organize your Captain Carter lane as far as making sure you get that buff. Brood is one of the best cards in the Surfer deck. It's 15 power after a Galacta, 12 after a Surfer or a Forge, and all of that can be combined. While Captain Carter does similar things, except you do have to further invest in that lane by putting cards behind it. Carter can be a little bit difficult in that way, but again, the shield really does help. Even throwing a shield behind a 4 to 6 power Captain Carter, now you have a 7 power shield. Silver Surfer buffs obviously Carter to a 4 immediately, and Brood, it buffs everything, right? But Carter, Brood, and Shaw amplify that buff. Anything else that hits, you're perfectly happy. Surfer and Surfer decks is fairly obvious. Feels hard to explain. Juggernaut is a late game cheap winner. I like Juggernaut a lot into Captain Carter lanes at the end because A, it's going to like spike that lane and all but guarantee your opponent can't add any extra power there, which is really important because that's a lane that they're often trying to Shanger Enchantress. Very powerful stuff. Killmonger is here because this is a Thanos meta. Being able to answer Thanos, being able to answer Batroc is one of the reasons to run Surfer in this moment. Esme Cuckoo has, again, several really good targets. You're not sad at a 3/4 Surfer. You're not sad at a 3/4 Brood or 3/4 Carter. You're in fact using buffs to get those cards to that exact stats fairly often. So getting that from Esme is perfectly fine. But what you're really trying to hit is you're trying to hit Sarah. So you can play Sarah on turn 4, which is this huge power spike, or Galacta. Sometimes you're just going to draw the card right after, right? But Galacta on 4 is so important for Surfer decks, it's often a snap condition. Esme giving you an extra chance to hit that Galacta or Sarah on 4 is absolutely incredible. We've discussed Shaw already. Luna Snow is here. 3/6 is just really big stats. It's in fact the single biggest base stats in the deck. But it's also very good to get Sarah out on turn 5. That is, again, going to be a priority play for us a lot of the time. Galacta further buffs Galacta further buffs everything in the deck. It turns even your small cards like Forge into real threats while being super extra incredible on the Shaw Carter Brood combo. And then Sarah lets you play way too much stuff and get way ahead. Again, Esme for Sarah and Esme for Galacta is kind of the goal here. To make sure you see key pieces and then to get that big power spike piece is the goal of this card in this list. So we've got Sarah early with a cheap Galacta here. Turn 1 we pass. Turn 2 we want Sam over Forge. Forge is generally the play if you have Brood or Carter. You can try and hold it otherwise, but I'd only hold it if I already have my Sarah line set up. Turn 3, Esme if no Sarah, Luna if Sarah, and then Brood or Carter are all fine after Forge. Turn 4, if you get Sarah or Galacta, I'd usually snap that, not always, but usually, over a good 3. Turn 5, Sarah can be a snap depending on what your hand is. Forge and Brood, Shaw or Carter is fine here. Turn 6, Juggernaut, Monger, Brood, Shaw, Carter, some combination, plus Surfer, depending on what you've seen. And that's it. This one's really simple. Everyone's going to have a version of Esme Surfer. This is mine. This is where I want to start with this card and in this deck. We've got more Esme coming up almost immediately. We've got, I think, my favorite Esme deck, what I think is going to be the best Esme deck up next. But first, please hit that sub, like, and comment as we bring you 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos. We have a video every single day. Last week, we did how to optimize the new Snap Pack system. We covered the coming July Fantastic Four First Step season, in addition to having at least 3 brand new decks every single day. This week, in addition to all of our regular videos, today is a 2-video day. We will also have an interview with Marvel Snap's lead dev, Marvel Snap's lead financial dev, Matt, who basically implemented and created the Snap Pack system, and we're going to talk about how that system has worked so far. So if you want the most consistent Marvel Snap content with the greatest depth into the metagame, into all things Snap, hit sub, like, and comment. We are also giving away at least 5 Esme Cuckoos this week. We've got 5 more Esme Cuckoos coming, and then we're going to give away some on stream too. So make sure you sub, like, and then later this video, I'll ask you to leave a comment. That comment will allow you to enter to win Esme. Next up, we've got Destroy Negative, and I'm very worried about Esme in this build. Like, genuinely super worried about Esme in this build. This has been the most successful Mr. Negative list, and if people aren't playing a lot of Mobius, and some Thanos is, thank God, finally playing Mobius, so maybe that does keep this in check. But the big caveat there is Negative is a card you really want to see in Mr. Negative decks. That's why they're called Mr. Negative decks. And Esme gives you an extra shot at playing that card. You can even, like, if you Esme on turn 4, right, and you played Magic on 3, you can still play a 3/4 negative on 5 and Jane on 6 and win that game by going completely off, stealing a ton of extra cubes. I think that this is going to be wildly powerful and wildly consistent. I think this is what is going to push Negative into tier 1 and force people to put Mobius back into their lists. I don't know why this one says Sizer. This one is actually just the standard. This is Cougar's or Bullseye QWERTY's version of Negative, and I went along and added Esme to it. This deck needs Gore or Ravonna. Esme can be Psylocke or Sage. All right, so card by card. Ravonna is very important. Obviously, getting Mr. Negative early is huge here, right? But if you don't see Mr. Negative, you can still compete thanks to Ravonna fairly often. What you want to do, generally speaking, is you want to get like a Gore and Mystique in one lane, and then you can Zola that lane. Getting basically 3 lanes worth of Gore is often enough to win the game, especially against stuff like Thanos, which is reasonably often just filling the board with little on reveals. So that is one of the ways you can win. Ravonna gives you access to that, while it can also give you access to like, oh look, I got a 3/4 Iron Man and a real Iron Man type wins. And Mystique. So yeah, stuff like that Ravonna gives you access to in addition to the early negative and a snap condition. Mystique is here largely for Iron Man or Gore. Once in a while, you'll hit null. You'll know when to. But yeah, Mystique is just huge. When it's free, it's obviously incredible. Even costing 3 or 2 with Ravonna, it ends up being one of the most powerful cards of the deck. Magic gives you time to do all the stuff you want. Be careful against Thanos. Playing it later against Thanos tends to be better because perhaps they blow their Reality Stone. Killmonger is one of your anti-Thanos cards. It is incredible against Thanos. It's very often, especially if they've got like a blue Marvel, going to immediately give you a big null all by itself, which is incredible. Hitting just like a 12 power Batrock is really good, because then if you play that null and Zola it, because you destroyed the first null, that's going to double, right? So let's say you hit a 10 power Batrock. You've now got a 10 power null, assuming you've probably got an extra card or two in there. So like let's say a 12 power null generously, right? We hit a 12 power null, and then we Zola that 12 power null. We got two 24 power nulls in two lanes, which is usually pretty damn good, especially, and could be better because Esme could be null. Esme hitting null at 3/4 null seems absolutely incredible. At that point, we can Shang on like turn 5 and then Zola that off. Zola that Esme null off. Going really, really off, getting a ton of power that way. We can end up hitting our Zola. A 3/4 Zola seems really good. Making sure we hit Jane, making sure we hit obviously negative. A 3/4 Iron Man seems amazing. A 3/4 Shang-Chi is amazing. And making sure we hit magic. Like, Esme seems amazing and probably a little broken in this list. Negative is negative. I don't know how to explain negative. He's the whole deck. Shang-Chi is here for two reasons. A, people get big, and B, to make it null worthwhile. Power must be controlled. People don't play it around it in negative, and you get extra cubes for that. Iron Man is Iron Man. He doubles your lanes. He's your big power spike. Like, Iron Man's existence is sort of how negative decks manage to exist. From there, it's just like figuring out what cards go around it. In this case, that being Gore and Null as your extra power because they are ongoing. Jane Foster, when negative is played, will pull all the 0 power cards from your deck, which means potentially Mystique, Iron Man, Gore, Zola, and Null, which means you get just insane power spikes at the end of the game. And Zola is your backup plan for A, if you don't see all of your stuff, or B, if you do see all your stuff and just want to sort of go buck wild in a lane. It ends up working out crazy, crazy well. Nothing goes as big as negative. So turn 1 pass, turn 2 Ravonna, and you basically almost always want to snap Ravonna, force them to stay unless you think they might have Mobius for whatever reason. Turn 3 is negative, please snap negative over Esme, over Magic. Turn 4 is the same as 3, Iron Man is fine. Turn 5, Jane or Last Magic. White here means snap condition, yellow means regular play. Esme for a key piece or big sis are fine, especially if you have already played Magic. But like if you're looking for a nice cheap null, for example, right? Esme is a perfectly fine thing. Remember that she is pulling a card from deck, so look at what's in your hand and see what's still in your deck, and Esme can grab that. Turn 6, Jane, if you haven't played Jane yet. If you have played negative. If you have a turn 6, Jane is really good here. If not, you're going to try and go off. If you can also do that in turn 7. If you did negative, you want to play Zola on Gore, Mystique, or Null, or an Esmead version thereof. I'm not ready for how good I think negative is going to be with this card, but if you like negative, get yourselves ready. Come check me out tonight, 8:30 p.m. on stream. Our season pass winner, before we get to the question, is Thrawn. This is not the last card winner, excuse me. This is an Esme winner. I didn't change the wording. My bad. This is a Esme Cuckoo winner. It is Thrawn is alive. Thrawn is alive. Please reach out. Discord, email, Twitter, however you would like. We have another winner of Esme Cuckoo that will be announced in the second video today that will go live at Daily Reset. That one will be focused on, you guessed it, Surge. The simple season pass question, if you'd like to enter to win Esme Cuckoo at the end of the week, is, are you getting her? What do you think her best deck will be? All right, next up, we've got Handstone, not Hands of Stone. It's not Rugged Ronnie Garvin, excuse me. We've got Handstone. This is this is another Esme list that is fundamentally built around making sure we see Victoria Hand and Wiccan. I went and found the best Wiccan list because I think Esme is going to be great with Wiccan. This is currently the best non-Thanos Wiccan list. I don't think Esme wants to be on Thanos. And I really do like having multiple important Esme targets, and this deck gives me that. Because with Esme, getting an extra Frigga seems really nice. If I wasn't going to draw Frigga, getting an extra hand seems nice. I'm not sad at 3/4 Moonstone, 3/4 Shang-Chi, and obviously Wiccan consistency is huge. Overall, I think Esme would be like an absolute auto fit into this deck. So this is from me at, if you want to check out my Twitter, which I don't suggest you do because Twitter sucks, but hey, if you have Twitter, twitter.com/snapjudgecast, and this is a version of Ika's old deck, twitch.tv/Ika_MTS. This deck needs Victoria, Kate, Wiccan, and Moonstone. Those 4 are non-negotiable. Speed can be Mr. Fantastic, or whatever 3-cost ongoing you're partial to. Iron Patriot can be Valentina, Mirage, Sam Wilson, whatever. Esme can be Copycat or a good 2 or 3. Juggernaut is really, really strong. And Frigga can be Agent Coulson, which I know because in the best version, Frigga is Coulson right now, but I do think that Frigga will be better, especially with Esme in the list. All right, Maria Hill gives you a 2-drop to play in order to hit your Wiccan curve, and that 2-drop can also just generally be awesome, also being a 1 that you can play. Quinjet makes your Maria Hill card, your Snow Guard card, your Iron Patriot card, your Esme card, most of the time, your Frigga card cheaper, and thus it's here. It's also doubleable by Moonstone. Snow Guard gives you a 3 to play along the curve for Wiccan, while also just giving you some extra location control for all that magic that I expect to be everywhere, and so the bear is of decent power. Okay, Bishop gives you 2 cards to be buffed by Victoria Hand, much like Snow Guard does, and Maria Hill gives you 1, while also giving you a little bit of control from the Acid Arrow, and then the other arrows are just solid here. Iron Patriot gives you a nice, cheap card, ideally, that can be a snap condition if it's good enough. Victoria Hand is the key to the deck. It's how this deck fundamentally has enough power to really compete. If you see Victoria Hand, you have enough power to be a threat to almost anyone. We would very much like to double Victoria Hand. We have 3 ways to do that in this deck. We can get a 3/4 Victoria Hand from Esme. We can play Frigga to get a second Esme, or we can play Frigga to get a second Victoria Hand, or we can play Moonstone on Victoria Hand, and any of those doubles turn even arrows from Kate into real threats. Speed is here largely as a way to try and win. Like if you go Quinjet Victoria Hand, right? Like and then you play Moonstone on it, that lane can be a very big challenge to win later. If you drop speed there, all of a sudden you're just like that Moonstone's gonna copy it, and then you have that extra win. It's just enough power to run. Esme is again Wiccan, Moonstone, Frigga, Shang-Chi, you're perfectly happy to have any of those. And if not, you don't play it. But anything you do get will be buffed by Victoria Hand, which is really nice. Frigga is here largely for Victoria Hand, but again, copying extra good cards from like generate cards is very good as well. Don't be afraid to do so. Power must be controlled. Moonstone is your doubler, and Wiccan says, "Oh look, I have all the energy to play all my generated stuff." Moonstone on Quinjet does the same basic thing. Either one of those is like your big snap, like, "Oh my god, I have so much energy." So turn 1, Maria if you need a 2, Snowguard if you need a 3, and Quinjet is just safe otherwise. Turn 2, you want Victoria Hand if you have Frigga over Iron Patriot. Iron Patriot is a snap if it gives you a good card and you think you can win over Kate. Turn 3, Frigga or Esme are better than Coulson. Turn 4, Wiccan. Wiccan should be in white, excuse me. Over Moonstone, which you're trying to play on Quinjet and or Hand, which is better than a 2/2. This is your last turn to play Iron Patriot and get a benefit from him. I wouldn't do that over Wiccan or Moonstone, but I would do it over playing an extra 2. If you are playing Victoria Hand on this turn, make sure that it is the second card you play. Thus, if you see Frigga, you can still copy it. Turn 5, Hand and Frigga is better than 3/2, and you can make sure you generate cards for the last turn. Then turn 6 is go off with all your generated cards. I think this list is going to be everyone. It's going to be really good. This one is stopped by Mobius, but not in the same way that the negative list is, where like Mobius doesn't just eat this. So I think this is a really good shout early on. And once people start to like, if Mobius is everywhere, negative can struggle right away, right? But like people will move on from Mobius, and then I think negative is completely broken. Whereas this, I think negative is annoying too, but like you'll be totally fine. This list seems wildly good to me. Hey, if you're interested in bling battles, if you're interested in winning some free stuff, you need to go to x.com and check out Amanda Party with 2 E's at the end. Um, that's a party if you ever want to check her out on Twitch. Awesome stuff. We've got basically awards for submitting variants on Twitter. So if you would like to participate right now, we're doing best gold, which may include custom cards. Basically, submit your best gold card. Submission deadlines end on 5/12/25. All you have to do is reply to the Twitter thread at Amanda Party and send that in if you'd like to win. Surge. We're not going to cover Surge in any great detail, but our last deck of this video is a Surge deck that also runs Esme. I'm going to call Esme the wrong name 15 times. Surge is on reveal, give the top card of your deck -1 cost and +1 power. After you play it, repeat this ability. On reveal, give the top card of your deck -1 cost and +1 power. After you play it, repeat this ability. Is almost guaranteed to be at least good. Whether it is more playable than Fastos and other similar cards remains to be seen. Again, we will do a full review of this at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is daily reset, when we will have 4 more decks for Surge, including 1 more that also has Esme. All right. So this is last September, Agent Venom came out. He was a 2/4 that gave everything 4 power. And at the time, he was like the best card in the game, and this was the best deck in the game. I think that it's possible that Surge and Esme bring this deck back. The logic here is Agent Venom will bring down Claw's power by 1, Esme is powered by 1. That's fine, right? Everything else, it's a fairly big buff on. Uh, Esme being able to hit many, many cards on this list is extremely powerful. A 3/4 Mystique is completely busted. That's a 3/8 if it hits if you're Mystiquing Iron Man. If it hits Iron Man himself, obviously 3/4 Iron Man is just 3/4 Iron Man, that's 3/8. Hitting Claw, that is a 3/4 extra Claw, which seems incredibly strong. The only cards you really like, you don't want to hit Bast, Kit, and Kitty here very much, but you're even kind of fine hitting Athena. Like you hit Athena, you play Esme on turn 3, you hit Athena, and then you get to go Athena and Bast, Athena and Kitty, whatever, Athena and Nico on the next turn. I think that this list could be back. I also really, really like Surge here because A, hitting Kitty once means it's free forever, which means I can always play 2 cards for Athena. But anything else I hit is just sort of making it have that 4 power that Agent Venom was doing so well with previously. If I can play Surge and Agent Venom early, I think I'm sort of good to go. I'm excited to try this. I want to see if the power level on this list still holds up. I would not be shocked if it did. This deck used to run Cassandra Nova, which would still be good against Thanos, but Esme's got to go in somewhere. You can find me, I made this version of the list, at youtube.com/@SnapChildren'sPod. That's where you're watching this right now. Please make sure you hit that sub button. It's totally free and helps us out a ton. This deck only really needs Agent Venom. Surge can be Kate Bishop, Esme Cuckoo can be Cassandra Nova, and Nico can be Silver Sable, Iceman, or Spider-Ham. I am partial to Nico here, and we'll talk about why when we get to it. So Bast has numerous good targets here. I could see Bast being a cut, because Bast really is down to 3 cards it badly wants to hit, and 3 cards it doesn't really want to hit. So Bast would very much like to hit Thena, Iron Man, and Mystique. Any of those being at 3 power early is really great. But your penalty for doing that is a 1/1. You do want to have Bast in the deck. I understand, for now, but I think Bast might end up being the cut here. It might end up being that that's Kate Bishop's spot instead of Bast's spot, for example. Because Kate Bishop, A, doesn't care if it gets hit by Anti-Venom, but it also gives you extra cards to play if you don't see your Kitty shenanigans. Kitty is amazing if hit by Surge. Kitty allows you to retrigger Athena and gives you a reasonably big power at the end of the game. I'm excited for Nico here. This was originally Silver Sable. I think Nico's great because Nico copy on whatever Esme hit is incredible. Nico blowing up Bast or even Agent Venom to draw 2 seems like it could really, really pay off and benefit this deck. I think that Nico is just too good not to run. Plus, if I blow up and draw 2 and then I play Esme or Surge, I know what it's going to hit or have a better idea of what it's going to hit, which also has extra value. Athena is keyword big, especially if you started with 3 power, thus she's in the list. Surge is, again, like the free kitty, the 4-cost Iron Man or Claw are game winning, right? If I hit an Iron Man or Claw that I can play on 4 and then, that would be a 5, um, 4/5 Claw that's still giving +7. That'd be a 4/1 Iron Man at least, assuming I didn't play Agent Venom first. I think those are absolutely incredible plays. Getting Esme for 1 cheaper, all of this works super well with Thena too, because I get that for Thena. I think that this is going to be one of the key decks. Everyone's going to put Surge in the Havoc deck, but I think the curve is low enough on the Havoc deck that I don't really see the super upside because I always have enough energy in that deck. Energy is not my problem there, and I only want to play 2 cards per turn until the last turn, not 3, so I'm not sure how great Surge's value is. I think this one, which doesn't care as much about order, is probably better. Agent Venom is not only 5 really good stats, but has so many good targets here. Again, this one works better, I think, than Bast here because the 5 native power is very important. But hitting Mystique and Iron Man is absolutely great. So I think, again, we're going to mess with that. Cosmo is your control card. It's your way to protect yourself. It's your way to steal games at the end of the game. Still a very powerful card right now. Maybe it's Mobius if negative is as popular as I think, but for now I'm going to start with Cosmo. Juggernaut is your cheap game winner and lane winner. Esme, we've talked about in this list. Again, Iron Man and Claw are like main targets here, but we're perfectly fine to hit Athena. We're perfectly fine. Even like, look, if we're playing a 3/4 Bass, that's not the end of the world if it's hitting the right targets. Iron Man at either 4/1 or Claw at 5/4 or a 3/4 version of either of those cards seems absolutely incredible, and that is what I think ultimately brings the deck back, and I do think that this deck will be back. So this was the best deck in all of September in Marvel Snap until they nerfed Agent Venom. Turn 1, Bast, if you have multiple good hits, is better than Kitty. And again, I might be cutting Bast. We'll come back to it. Turn 2, Agent Venom or Surge. Turn 3, Thena +1 or Esme. Turn 4, 2/2 or Iron Man. Turn 5, Iron Man is better than Claw. Turn 6, Claw +1 or Mystique plus Jug or Mystique plus Cosmo, and you should be able to win because your opponent will have a nightmare trying to figure out what you're going to do on the last turn. Like you have Iron Man. Are you going to drop Mystique? Where are you going to drop Mystique? Are you going to drop Juggernaut? Or are you going to drop a 3/4 Claw? Like, are you going to drop Claw and a Big Kitty? What is the play? And your opponent cannot know that, and you should be able to just sort of go off, putting power all over the board in really unpredictable ways. If this still puts up enough power, I have almost no doubt that it works. Surge should give us back that power that we lost when Age of Venom was nerfed, and thus I think that this deck, with or without Bast, is going to be a really serious meta deck. If you're interested in watching this game these decks get played, hopefully our friend Patron will be streaming still at 3 p.m. Eastern at reset and play some of these lists. If not, stop by at 8 p.m. and I'll see you there for these decks. Question of the day is, we actually have two today. It's just, how good will Esme be? I think Esme is going to be great. I find it very hard to believe that, at least as a consistency piece, she's not going to be absolutely worth it and absolutely required. Basically, she is pseudo and fake deck thinning for this list, and pseudo deck thinning is very important. In Marvel Snap, 12 cards is not a lot, and there are key cards you want to see. If you can play Esme to give yourself a better chance at seeing those key cards, or an extra chance at seeing those key cards, that is obviously great value, and thus I think she's going to be great. There's going to be games where she does nothing, where you play her, she hits nothing, and you just move on. But you can also potentially use her as a snap condition later, where if decks become known as powerful with Esme, let's say you're running a Gore or an Iron Man, you can play her and then snap on the result, and if your opponent has to respect that, she's a very dangerous and powerful card. Must buy, get Esme, or wait to see if you win Esme, and then if you don't, get Esme. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon at patreon.com/snapjudgments come with on-air thanks. If you'd like to check out our Patreon, please do so. It is, again, on the screen. Thank you to Bricks2Click, our patron of the month for the month of May. We've got Abigail Gielsen, Mandatory Burnout, It Regardless, Always Kind, LAB, Inc., I Am Frostman, You Sure Are, Hota Navarrete, Thinking Poker of that very same podcast, Prime Brian of the Primed Mind app, Ryan Berkey, Ryan Wood, YouTube, check him out, Ren Wrench is first row as he belongs, Caretix Lee, the King of Questions, Corey, the King of Rudeness, Kazushi, quite kind, and Archangel 3K ties the room together. Black Dahlia, Profus, the Goat Seeker and Code, Alliance Leaders, Hallowed, Only Fox and Synth, Fat Nick, Absolute, Shannon, thanks for hanging. I saw you posting earlier. Nightmare, it's late at night. Dirty Casual, Filthy Even. Was that the nightmare that it was Dirty Casual? Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, what's up, Philly? Haplo, what's Haploning, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Notoriously Here with Black Jeebus 23, Extra C and Skippy G rhyming friends, Jessica Gamble, Sup Jess, Mr. Slush Death, The King of Bros, Bruh, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, ooh, Werewolf should probably go with the Nightmare. Kev, Sihora, Ludacris, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Bricks to Click would be here, except he's patron of the month. Rob Sutherman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Stephen, Brian Coffin, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Greg Sterry, Matt B., and of course, Corey. That's a lot of real names, friends. Corman, John Q, and Jimmy McHugh. Keep down. Yes, Stout, Eighth Sage, One Big Man, Milkman for Reals, Cactus, Jack, Reetzer, BG, Quid Pro Joe, and Snap to Scissors Joe. Sup, Joes? Dick Carlo, rhymes with Joe. Models Not Supreme, Biggity Boom Bot, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fizdump, Spectrumix, Woot, Ocularis, who killed it with the St. Jude's donation. I heard about that. Way to go, Ocu. Matt H, DJ, Mikey Hijinks, don't frickin' flex. Nick, the Greek Geek, what's up, Nicky? Toxic Soul King, my opponent in Snap Judgments League, Week 3. I'll make sure it's recorded. Zadrex, the King of Canada, Denman Falcon, Newman, it's Father, Newman Jonesy. Check out the Triple Threat, y'all. Two Ties, Lauren Debs, the Pirate King Tucker, and of course, Gunny T. That's it. I'll see you at 3 p.m. Eastern for the Surge video. Thanks for watching. I tried to make sure that all these decks had good replacements for Esme, so if you don't get Esme, you still have some really cool decks to play.